There are signs of hope across the country this morning as borders reopen and Melbourne could ease coronavirus restrictions sooner than expected. South Australia has reopened its border with New South Wales overnight, much to the delight of locals in the outback border town of Broken Hill.
Airlines have already flagged increased flights between Adelaide and Sydney. Meanwhile, in Victoria, Melburnians are awaiting anxiously details of eased restrictions there. With COVID-19 case numbers falling faster than expected. We'll have the latest from Melbourne very shortly. But first, let's go to Tom Fedorovich in Adelaide and Saskia Mabin in Broken Hill. Good morning to both of you. Starting with you, Tom. Are they expecting a lot of movement across the border now that that quarantine requirement for New South Wales residents has officially been lifted?
Good morning, Michael. Yes, they will be because, of course, with such a large state of New South Wales and South Australia, there will be a lot of families keen to reunite. There'll be friends wanting to get over and catch up, and there'll be tourists wanting to go back and forth. And, of course, the Premier says there'll be businesses and workers who will also be keen to take advantage of this ending of these border restrictions, which have only been possible because New South Wales has gone 2 weeks without any community transmission, and that satisfied the health officials here that it was safe to reopen, much to the delight of everyone who can now move back and forth between South Australia and New South Wales. Although we are at the airport, we're waiting for the first flight to come in from Sydney a little later this morning, and then there'll be one heading off back there, and more flights will be added in coming days.
It's great to see, Tom, after so many months of airline terminals resembling ghost towns, it's great to see just a bit of movement there behind you, a small amount of movement, but some activity there at an Australian airport.
Yeah, this is actually the first time I've been to the airport since the pandemic, and this is a large check-in hall that extends quite a way out this way, and that area is closed off at the moment. But there are people here rocking up with suitcases, families going on holidays to Queensland and to the Northern Territory, and now to New South Wales. You're not seeing a huge amount of masks, so in some ways it does feel a bit like normal life is returning.
It does indeed. Tom, thank you. Saskia in Broken Hill. So what does this mean for locals and tourism in that New South Wales city?
Good morning, Michael. I'm standing here on the Barrier Highway, which is actually currently the only sealed road between New South Wales and South Australia. So we are expecting a fair bit of traffic to come across this road. I know it doesn't look like it at the moment, but there were people in Broken Hill last night who were talking about packing their bags and heading for the border. We're only 50 kilometres from the South Australian border here in Broken Hill, and people have really been holding out to go back and visit families as well. Like you mentioned there, it will have an impact to our tourism industry. Interestingly, Broken Hill did see an increase in tourism from regional New South Wales. With all the other borders shut, people didn't really have many options for places to go. But we really are here reliant on South Australian tourism, so tourism operators are definitely looking forward to people coming back to the city.
Indeed, and I guess there'll be a bit of a rush once people get organised to head to South Australia. A lot of Broken Hill residents keen to resume their normal life.
That's right, yeah. Broken Hill residents keen to go back to South Australia, probably some South Australians keen to come into Broken Hill. Earlier I spoke to one caravan park owner, his name's Michael McIver, and he had a pretty full caravan. So let's take a bit of a listen to what he had to say.
There's a lot of people that have got their caravans and packed up as soon as Premier Marshall made the announcement, and they've been flocking in here, and the phone's been ringing red hot. So there's a lot of bookings that are coming in to Broken Hill, especially with our sealed roads. It makes it easy for people to get into SA.
That was Michael McIver, the owner of a caravan park here in Broken Hill, very much looking forward to the borders reopening. It is important to note, though, that people in New South Wales who are crossing the border do still need to fill out a border pass online, and but the 14-day requirement to quarantine once they're in South Australia and the requirement to get a COVID test has been lifted.
Saskia, nice work. You too, Tom, in Adelaide. Thank you both.